Nevada, 2019. This is the kind of story that makes you think twice about ever driving alone at night. One young woman ignored her mother's warning and paid the price. Elena Reyes slammed the driver's side door of her beat-up Civic and shoved her backpack onto the passenger seat. At 19, she was stubborn and tired of people telling her what to do. Just an hour earlier, her mother had pleaded with her. "Don't drive tonight, Elena. Wait until morning. The desert's dangerous after dark. Please." But Elena rolled her eyes, snapping back. "I'm not a kid. I'm not waiting." She left anyway, refusing to listen. Now, hours later, the desert had swallowed her whole. Elena's headlights were her only lifeline, cutting tunnels of pale light through the Nevada night. No towns, no houses, not even another car, just endless black asphalt and the heavy silence of nowhere. The darkness pressed in, thick and oppressive. Elena's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel as she peered into the void beyond her windshield. The radio crackled with static, unable to pick up a signal this far from civilization. She reached for her phone, desperate for some connection to the outside world, but the screen blinked back at her. No service. A shiver ran down her spine. The desert night seemed to close in around her, hungry and watchful. Elena shook her head, trying to dispel the growing unease. "Don't be stupid," she muttered to herself. "It's just a road." But then headlights appeared in her rearview mirror. At first, Elena felt a wave of relief wash over her. At least she wasn't alone anymore. Another traveler, braving the empty highway. The tension in her shoulders began to ease. That relief was short-lived. The longer she drove, the stranger it felt. The vehicle never passed her, never fell back. It just lingered, a constant presence in her mirror. When she slowed, it slowed. When she sped up, it matched her pace perfectly. Elena's pulse quickened. "Don't panic," she whispered, her voice sounding small in the confines of her car. "It's nothing, just another driver." But then the brights flashed. Once, twice, and suddenly the headlights went out completely. Elena's breath caught in her throat. She blinked hard, certain she must be seeing things. But when she looked in the rear view again, her blood ran cold. She could still see a shape gliding forward, black against the blackness of the night. Something was following her. Minutes stretched into an eternity as Elena's mind raced through possibilities. A prankster, a cop. But deep down, she knew this was something else entirely. Something wrong. Without warning, the truck lunged forward, pulling up beside her. It was battered and old, its windows tinted darker than the night itself. Elena turned her head, heart pounding, trying to catch a glimpse of the driver. There was no one there, just a hollow shadow behind the glass. Before she could process what she was seeing, the truck swerved violently towards her, forcing her Civic toward the shoulder. Gravel sprayed as Elena screamed, wrenching the wheel back onto the road. The truck's horn blared, a long guttural sound that seemed to shake the very air, before it suddenly sped ahead. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished into the night. Elena let out a shaky laugh, trying to calm her ragged breathing. Maybe she'd imagined it all. The isolation, the darkness, it was playing tricks on her mind. That had to be it, until she looked in the mirror again. Her stomach dropped. Far down the road, barely visible in the moonlight, a figure was sprinting on foot. But this was no ordinary runner. It was impossibly tall, at least 7 feet, with a skeletal thin frame. Its limbs were too long, its gait unnatural and jerky. And it was catching up. Elena's Civic rattled as she floored the accelerator, 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. But the figure's silhouette stayed fixed in the mirror. It was impossibly fast, defying all logic as it gained on her. In the fleeting moonlight, she caught a glimpse of something pale on its face. A mask? Panic clawed at her throat. This couldn't be happening. It wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Then ahead, a flicker of light pierced the darkness. A gas station. Salvation. Elena swerved into the lot, gravel crunching under her tires. She tumbled out of the car, screaming for help. But her cries echoed in the emptiness. The station was dead. Rusted pumps stood like sentinels, windows boarded up, covered in decades of dust and neglect. No one had been here in years. The crunch of tires made her whirl around. The truck pulled into the lot, its engine rumbling low, shaking the very ground beneath her feet. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs as the door creaked open. The figure stepped out. In the harsh glow of the station's single flickering light, she could see it clearly now. Too tall, too thin. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle, and the mask, oh God, the mask, gleamed bone-white against the night. Elena bolted, around the station, into the brush. The desert offered no cover, but she ran anyway, lungs burning, feet slicing on sharp rocks and thorns. Crunch, crunch, crunch. The footsteps followed, unhurried and steady. She crouched low in the scrub, clutching her chest, trying to muffle her gasping breaths. Through the weeds, she saw it. Standing still now, scanning the darkness, patient as death itself. Then, her Civic's alarm shrieked through the night. The keys. She'd left them in the ignition. The figure's head snapped toward the sound, and it sprinted with inhuman speed. Elena ran, barefoot now, dirt and gravel slicing her feet. She dove inside the Civic just as its hand, long-fingered and pale, slammed against the glass. She turned the key, the engine roared to life, and she shot out of the lot, tires screaming. In the mirror it sprinted after her, keeping pace for miles. Its form bent and jerked in ways her brain couldn't process, defying every law of nature. At last, mercifully, it faded back into the dark. But she knew, with bone-deep certainty, that it wasn't gone. Hours passed in a blur of terror and adrenaline. Elena drove without destination, without thought, only the primal need to escape driving her forward. Her hands shook on the wheel, her eyes darting constantly to the rearview mirror. Then, like a miracle, her phone lit up. Service. With trembling fingers, she dialed 911, her voice breaking as she tried to explain the unexplainable to the dispatcher. Help was coming. She just had to hold on. When the patrol cars finally appeared, boxing her in with flashing lights, relief hit her like a physical force. She stumbled out of the car, legs weak, sobbing uncontrollably. It's after me. The truck. It's following me. The officers tensed, hands moving to their weapons as headlights rolled into view behind them. The battered truck pulled up silently, coming to a stop just behind Elena's Civic. "Driver, step out of the vehicle." One officer barked, his voice sharp with authority. Silence. They approached cautiously, weapons drawn. With a swift motion, they yanked the door open. The cab was empty. No driver. No footprints in the dust. Just the low, steady growl of the engine, rattling like a heartbeat. Elena felt the world tilt beneath her feet. This couldn't be happening. It wasn't possible. Then, the locks clicked shut, on their own. The truck's headlights flared, glaring like eyes, and Elena understood what her mother had feared all along. It wasn't a man chasing her. It wasn't even driving. It was riding the truck. And now, it wasn't finished. The officers shouted, confusion and fear evident in their voices. But their words were drowned out by the roar of the engine as the truck surged forward. Elena screamed, diving out of the way as it barreled past, narrowly missing her. In the split second before it vanished into the night, she saw it. A face in the back window, pale, grinning, hungry. Elena collapsed to the ground, her body racked with sobs. The officers rushed to her side, but their words of comfort fell on deaf ears. She knew the truth now. The desert doesn't forgive arrogance. And sometimes it doesn't let you leave alone. To this day, Elena Reyes won't drive at night. She tells her story to anyone who will listen, a warning to those who might be tempted to brave the empty highways after dark. Because out there, in the vast emptiness of the Nevada desert, something waits. Something that wears a truck like a skin and hunts the unwary. If you dare step deeper into the darkness, tap that like button.